for May 16th, 2012. Nancy, would you poll the board here, please?
You bet. Commissioner Mum? Here. Commissioner Yates?
Here.
Commissioner Roth?
Here.
Commissioner Pauley?
Here.
Commissioner Edgar?
Here.
Commissioner Neely?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Peterson?
Here.
And Chair Shaw.
Here. Thank you. Okay. If there are citizen comments regarding anything not on the agenda, we'll accept them now. We do have a little brochure in the back there if you're not familiar with how that is done. Okay, seeing none, we will move to the...
I read it.
Yeah. I still have to do my job.
You got to give your name so we know who read it.
All right, so we will move to adoption of the agenda here.
Move to adopt.
Oh, do we have to do that stuff?
Second?
Wait,
No
we
motion
don't.
necessary.
No.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to general business, the Main Street Revitalization Initiative Intergovernmental Agreement. Eric Underwood, Economic Development Manager.
Yay. Sorry, I'm just coming from another meeting. So.
Really?
Oh, really? I'm having a little technical difficulty. My agenda's not up on the website. So.
What do you need?
The
You need
agenda.
the agenda.
And work, yes.
I have one
So,
in this handy notebook. Here you go.
oh, wow, that's right.
Rocky has it.
I may need that back.
Thanks, Mike. This is the best day. So, thank you, Chair. About a month ago, we made an announcement that Metro has been observing what we're doing downtown in our urban renewal district, and they're impressed by that, and they're committing some funds of their own to help augment our programs that we have existing. So roughly what I have before you tonight is an IGA, a formal agreement, to commit our funds and their funds for this purpose. It is for the combined storefront grant program as well as the adaptive reuse rehab program. Let's see. Basically, what it is a one-to-one match, and so they're as part of their requirements to us, they're asking us to commit $120,000 through the year 2016 to keep these programs going. As that's their match as well, $120,000
Per year?
per year. Yes. So, as another stipulation of this, or requirement of this grant, if we were to approve this IGA, is to prioritize projects. Metro would work with us to identify projects that are considered strategic locations to get the best value or the most value out of our programs, where they think it would work the best in downtown. So that's roughly it. The only obligations, the real obligations that we have, other than exploring some permitting, streamlining, feasibility projects, and things of that nature as we go through this. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm assuming, or I'm trusting that you've read through the agreement, if able to entertain any questions you might have at this point.
I have a question, and that is about, am I supposed to push something? It says that we will be going through our codes and reviewing food carts, colors, awnings, that type of thing. What is our commitment to doing that or making any changes in that? Does it mean that we comply with or come alongside of Metro's codes on those things?
No, it's not. It's just taking a look to see what's working, what isn't.
What's working where?
With the current, within our own programs right now.
Okay.
We have the criteria for the colors and so forth. Just evaluating that. We're not committed to changing that in any way if we don't see a need to change.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Neely.
I assume the decision makers on the cities, on our city side is your renewal commission in terms of project. What entity in Metro? Is it on the staff level or is it on their on their commission level, or do you know?
It's on the staff level.
Okay, so basically, if we've identified something that they basically agree with and vote on it, we don't have to worry about the politics, if I
Right.
could say it that way, of Metro. It's dealt with on the staff.
Right.
Good. Well, thank you.
Commissioner Yates?
Well, I like this, Eric. I really like the Metro partnership. I think it's great. And I like the part in the contract that allows for for consultants to come in, because I really think that's something we could do a lot of. We've been doing less of. Can you explain to me what this SDC discount idea is that you've suggested, or is it already in place?
It's already in place. It's a tiered SDC discount system that we already activate. That's already in process. So there's really no changes there.
So but that's not targeted to this one spot between 5th and 10th Street. That's broader, isn't it? Isn't the
It's
SDC discount?
broader. It's for the downtown
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
You suggested in your memo that you were going to be looking at the enhancement grant regulations in terms of efficiencies and stuff. In your memorandum of understanding, one of the things you're going to look at in addition to the code. Do you have any thoughts on that now as to what you're going to be looking at?
Not really. It's just, I mean, there are a couple of ideas of just streamlining the process, facilitating, getting it going a little faster, being a little more coordinated. But I haven't had a lot of opportunity to go through and pick out specifics.
The questions I have about it, the concerns I have are related to three things, really. One, we're not allowed to terminate the agreement for 3 years. We're locked in. Even if we think it's not working, you can't terminate except by mutual understanding in writing. I think that's a little too much. Secondly, I don't know why we don't just come back every year to renew this, why we do it for 3 years instead of 1. Was that something we proposed or they proposed? Is that important to go for 3 years as opposed to doing it for a year? Because it seems to me we're making a budgetary call here without review of the budget committee, which I know is a disaster. I missed that, but maybe a little.
It wasn't because you were gone either.
But I just don't know why we need 3 years. So I'd suggest we do it with 1 year and/or have a way we can terminate with just our decision. We don't want to go forward because I don't think it makes sense to do it for 3 years. The final question I have is. This is something I'd like to see actually in the two proposals that you mentioned in another one of your emails this week. How much staff cost is going to be involved in this? Because it's an open-ended thing. They're given 120, we're given 120 out of our grant program, and then each side puts their own staff into it. And if there's no budget for that, and I'm really concerned what we're committing to do and what they're committing to do, because that seems kind of open-ended. So those are the three concerns I have, but I think it's a great idea, basically.
Okay.
I can try to address two of the three. So there are funds budgeted for the staff, because the staff we have allocated to this is one person and a little bit of maybe some impact on community development. And so we already have, it's our existing staff, and so it's a workload issue for us. If the demands of the program exceed his ability to do the work, then we'll have to just work at the pace that we can. So his position's already funded. This doesn't increase the burden. So that answers your budget question. The other one is on paragraph 5.
That was my budget question, but go ahead.
Okay. And on paragraph 5, it says termination. The agreement may be terminated immediately by mutual written agreement.
But if you don't have mutual agreement, you can't terminate it.
Yeah, I understand that.
And then the third question I have is, was just whether or not you need to do it for 3 years to begin with. Why not do it for a year?
Yeah, I can. Well, I'll let Eric take credit for that.
Well, they're committing this for a 3-year process, and they want to ensure that we're going to have the funding in our programs before they commit. So it's in their budget cycle to commit this amount of money to Oregon City for 3 years. And so they're just wanting to ensure that we have that.
And next year our target is to go to a 2-year budget next year. So this budget that we're working on would be our last 1-year budget, and then our goal is to go to 2 years. So it's basically this and one more budget cycle. I can see some other reasons for why, if you're going to do a pilot program like this, one grant season, if you guys think about your storefront grant program that you started years ago, it might be pretty hard to give the program a fair evaluation after one season, if you will.
I don't think so.
But yeah, there's different opinions, I'm sure.
I'd just like to add, too, that we are one of only 2 cities in the region that Metro is targeting for this program due to our involvement and our investment in downtown. They have expressed that if we weren't on board with this program, then the money would be opened up for competitiveness across the region, so other regions would compete for this money. But they've offered us this program first before they did that. So
All right, is that it, Eric?
that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Mum.
I agree. I like this program, but I also agree with Phil that maybe we should look at it as a 2-year pilot, if that's at all possible, instead of going for the full 3, even though it might be different budget time. Also, the code updates, can you keep us informed at all times about what you're looking at changing and stuff like that? And then the other thing is, if Metro staff and city staff don't agree on a project, what happens then?
We would have to negotiate. We'd have to go into discussions and see. I don't know.
I just kind of wanted you to think about what would happen if one thought it was a good project and the other didn't think so.
Contract you can't get out of.
Well,
Right. Well, go ahead.
Well, based on my experience, this is more Metro lending their expertise and their staff to assist us with things that we don't have enough staff to do. It's more of a resource than something that we're going to get in disagreeing. And I really see this as more of a partnership and not any kind of dueling opinions or values. Or I think that Metro would be really our support more than trying to opine what they think is best for the city.
And I'm going to say, in working with them on this and developing this IGA, we definitely have their support, and they're more than mind to work with us than against us. That's the way it is now, and we've discussed some areas around the city that are in the urban renewal district where this might work best, and we're in agreement thus far. So they're acting. I truly believe in our best interest.
Mr. Chairman, I might be able to be a little more specific. I think if we don't agree on a project, we don't do the project. That's probably how it's going to happen, and I don't see that. I suppose Metro could come along and fund it independently themselves with a share of money, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. And I don't think we're going to, because we don't have the budget for that. So I expect that both sides will agree, or the project won't get done.
So, and when I say we're, kind of the preliminary projects that we're kind of in agreement on, a lot of that relates back to when Michelle Reeves came and gave the presentation, and I think some of the areas that she identified, I think we all had an agreement that she was on the right track. So she'll be working with them as well on this too.
I also think we should draw attention to, because Mayor Neely said something in the beginning about the representatives for the different agencies, the city and Metro, and their representatives are on this page right here of the agreement. And our representative would be Mr. Underwood, and then their representative is Lisa Miles, the Development Center representative from Metro. And so I think that not all of these projects under this pilot program would come back to the commission. Wouldn't they be resolved through the 2 representatives?
They would.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they wouldn't be coming back to our elected body any more than they would go to the Metro Commission. It would be approved on the staff level. So.
But you'd keep us informed of what you guys were doing, right?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Neely.
First of all, I think if it turns out the project isn't working, we probably have mutual consensus in the project in the program. I don't feel putting in the wording that either party could withdraw and that would kill it would really. I mean, if we want to put it in there, I guess Metro perhaps wouldn't object, but I don't think it's a real issue. If one party says the project's not working, then the project's not working, and there'd be mutual agreement. I'm a little bit concerned with the statement that was just made.
Yeah, me too.
If we're allocating money, then I would assume that this commission will be making the decision of the money that we are allocating. So I agree that the two of us are going to approve a project, but then you'll look for us for the financial support to back it up. I mean, there'll be a line item somewhere
Well,
that's identified.
we currently have an approved allocated amount for our programs that are existing, and so we would use the funding out of those.
I understand that, but if we have competing projects, I presume we would want to have a voice in which of those projects went forward. And that, I guess, that'd be my first concern.
Okay, we have, as part of our criteria for the storefront grant,
Yep.
it does come to the commission for approval. The adaptive reuse rehab is a staff level. It's been
And that was in our, I mean, that's the specific wording of it?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what was approved.
If we
So-
agreed to that, I guess we agreed to that.
Okay. Commissioner Yates?
It was my understanding that even the interior one was going to come back before the commission. That's not the case?
No, it's written where it would be a staff decision and approval, and then a report would come to the commission once that process was completed. I sent out a reminder of that when we got our first two adaptive reuse rehab applications in. I think it was day before yesterday.
I thought that was going to come before us, though, so that's not coming before us at all.
No.
Is that the same level of review? That's the same level of review at Metro, though, right?
Yes.
So this proposal you have wouldn't change that, nor would it change the fact that of the 120,000 that we're contributing, part of that is for the storefront. Those would continue to come before us,
Yes, they would.
even though we'd be using some of their 120 grand.
Yes. So it'd have to be approved through us, regardless how that's done, before Metro kicked in their funding.
Okay. Commissioner Edgar?
I'm concerned that we're not approving or not having these projects coming before us where we have some oversight into the prioritizations. Certain things can have higher probability of creating redevelopment or creating more benefit in redevelopment in our core area of historic downtown. And I still think that should be something that should go by this, the Urban Renewal Commission for oversight and review on, and not just at a staff level, no matter what has been already voted for or approved. I just think it's wrong. The other thing is on this, is this going to take effect in calendar year 2012-13?
Yes.
It starts, so...
It starts now.
It starts now, and if I saw that it went through 15 to 16, so that's actually 4 years, isn't it?
Fiscal years.
Four fiscal years. So we're really talking about a potential of 480,000?
No, it's 3 fiscal years, so 16 meaning the 15, 16.
15, 16. Well, I just...
They're overlapping. They're not including this entire year, fiscal year. So it starts 12, 13, 13, 14, and then 15, 16. So it ends on 15, 16.
So they're saying that 13, 14 is you're marrying 12 and 13 and 13, 14 and calling it that the first year.
Yeah.
Okay. Personally, I think it's a win-win for our city. Anytime we can bring in some additional money and additional thinking, positive thinking, I would find it very difficult not to want to be behind it. But I still believe that we should be not at the back end of the decision making, but on the front end and of all review on all projects coming through, no matter what we voted on in the past.
I think, in my mind, I think you were on the front end because we went through and developed the criteria and we approved the criteria. So that's what the commission wants to see out of any sort of project downtown. So staff knows that, and staff can review the applications with the criteria as the guideline. So,
All right. Commissioner Mum?
Sorry, I think it's good to partner, but I'm kind of leery a little bit, okay? And I wanted to know, what did Main Street Board have to say about this? Did they have any thoughts?
They are totally on board with this. They think this is a great program, and they're very happy to get this extra funding. So it's only going to. They feel that it's only going to increase the value of projects downtown.
Commissioner Neely?
I think we have to have a mechanism to know what projects are going to be funded before they're funded. Whether we do that on a formal vote basis, or you come to us and at least you have a majority of this body feeling comfortable with that particular project. Because my guess is you're going to have competing projects. And I guess you could be the ultimate decision makers, but if you find a majority of this body, in fact, has serious concerns about a project that you're going to fund, you might want to give it some thought. So whether it's done in if we build it into our agreement already, that you'd be the decision makers, it's there, but I think the best thing to do would be to bring forward those projects before they're actually supported and find out what our general reaction is to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Yates?
I agree with that 100%. I think there are a couple of ways to skin this cat, Eric. I would suggest we go back to Metro. I think the solution is just to have them 1 year renewable with the projects coming before us. I really support Metro getting involved downtown. I don't think they're going to, hopefully, deep six this if we just say, come back to us in a year and renew this thing. I'm very supportive of what you're trying to do. I just don't like the idea of getting into a contract you can't terminate, and you've got $360,000 of our money which could go off on a track that we don't agree with and we can't stop it. That just doesn't seem smart to me. So I vote no without an agreement to allow it to be reviewable after 12 months.
Okay, so what do you need from us, Eric?
Well, basically what I was going to ask for is approval of the IGA so we could sign it and implement the program.
Could I request, if I might, I don't push the button, but we do have a Metro Commissioner here. Maybe she could speak to what she might consider an issue of renegotiating the IGA. I wouldn't think that a renewable on a yearly basis ought to be a killer to it, but she knows more about the organization than we do.
Thank you. Is this on?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thanks. Commissioners, thank you. I didn't mean to crash your meeting, but I understood that you were going to be talking about this, so I came in case you needed me, so I'm happy to answer questions. This is a really unique opportunity. Believe me, when I heard that $120,000 was going to be spent in my district in Oregon City, my first reaction was, seriously? We have money to do that? And staff said, yeah, we have. They explained how they were able to allocate the money and that there are 2 pilot projects. I don't foresee a problem with having a year-to-year agreement. I think that that's probably, that makes sense. I think from our perspective as well. I mean, $120,000 is a lot to commit to any one city. Right now we're talking about a 1 year commitment with this ongoing process, but I think there would probably be some relief on our part, frankly, to not have to make it a 3-year commitment. Now, I can't speak for the council. This actually is not a council-driven project. This is staff-driven. It's the signer is not Metro Council or me. It's the COO, our Martha Bennett, our director. So it's really it's up to her to agree or not to agree. But I don't foresee a problem with saying that we want to do it annually and see how it goes. As to the question about reviewing the projects, it says right in the objectives, and I just got this today too. So, but the obligations, it says cooperative obligations, and it is to develop cooperatively the 2 entities, your commission and planners and the Metro. I don't even think it's the Metro Council. It's Metro as an agency to deliberate together to choose the priority projects. So again, I don't see a problem with your reviewing the projects. I think what will end up happening is that some of them will be fairly small, and they're not going to be the kind of thing that you're going to want to have to approve every single dollar that's spent. And part of the process is to see if there isn't a way to facilitate a smoother development process. So I think as we move forward, you're going to feel like it is either working to be a little bit easier and a little bit more streamlined or not working. And the goal is really to have a streamlined process that you still feel ownership of. So finding that balance is really one of the reasons we're doing this. And we're doing it in 2 cities. The other city is potentially Hillsborough. They are having the same conversation about whether or not to agree to the contract. So personally, as a former city councilor, it would be really a no-brainer for me. If somebody came and said, here's under $20,000 for your downtown, I'd be saying yes. But I understand being concerned about not getting in too deep, not making commitments that you don't feel you can keep.
Okay, thank
Does that
you.
help?
That's great, thank you.
And Commissioners, let's kind of keep in mind, we've got to move along here. Yeah, we're running kind of late. So,
Thanks.
Commissioner Roth, thank you.
Well, I have a concern that if we're going to ask to review interior projects, what are we talking about? Because none of us, or I certainly don't have any expertise in that, and I would think that the person that was doing the project would know what they need. We're not talking about historic buildings or historic designations.
Right.
I just don't understand that.
Yeah. Basically, and again, this is my opinion, that anytime you have a vacant building or one that is in need of restoration or rehab, if you're enabling the property owner to renovate that, or if you're providing assistance for him to renovate that and make it a tenable space, you're creating value. I think it could be a small project, it could be a large project. It's going to create value because you're going to be able to have tenants downtown and you're going to have more business. It's going to increase the property value as well.
Yeah.
So with our review, staff review, part of the committee will be folks who have that building interior expertise. So I'm recruiting them on the committee for that specific reason. And so we're trying to get folks on there that have certain expertise. When we combine, we're sure that we have a good solid approval if we choose to approve that project. And doing it at staff level facilitates that, and it doesn't become burdensome on the property owner with process. It doesn't bog them down. And when we are asking them to apply, we're asking them to submit a construction schedule as well. A lot of times they don't factor in maybe we've got to wait a month out to get on the commission schedule. What do we do if they don't approve it, or if they want us to go back and work with other contractors or something that really sets them off.
Right. And so we're not going to put ourselves in the position of saying, we really don't like that shade of yellow for the restrooms.
Right. And the more that happens, I think the less interest there's going to be in folks applying for this program. So
Eric, you can decide if the yellow is correct or not.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think you're right, Kathy. You're right.
Close.
We don't want to micromanage.
Okay, we're going to go with Commissioner Edgar here.
I still would like to see us, I personally would like for it to be for 3 years. I think we can solve our problems internally. If I had $360,000 and I could lock it in right now I would like to say, I'd like to lock and load, and then solve our problems down the line. How do we administer it? How do we become comfortable? And a lot of that's going to be with you coming to us and making sure that we're not outsiders. Mm-hmm. Because if we're outsiders, then we'll be more draconian in what we do down the line. And I agree with what Doug is saying, and I hear Phil. And Phil's concerns are that we're not. We don't have this thing locked down. Well, we don't have a plan, and I think we can still make the plan. That means for this board to come back and figure out how do we refine how we do things, and maybe change some of our policies to make sure that the board is involved. But right now, I'd like to see us take full advantage of it and get our hands and make it part of our plan to be make it. I want a 7-to-1 type return on the money And if we can do that, where we can really create some increment in our downtown, this could be a big deal. It could be a nice catalyst.
Commissioner Neely?
Yeah, just Commissioner Roth's comments there. I actually agree with you. What I would look for is just simply that they would discuss the project they're going to fund ahead of time. Every once in a while, we come up with a couple ideas that the staff agrees with, and that might happen. That might happen in the process.
Do you like yellow?
Only on Wednesdays.
It depends which read.
Depends on what shoes I'm wearing.
Don't ask on Hawaiian night.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess we missed that number.
I can understand Commissioner Edgar's notion a nice 3-year commitment would be nice. I would like to see this passed unanimously, however, and if to do so, we're going to ask for the ability for one or the other organization to pull out, and as opposed to a joint, and that we have that, or a renewable on an annual basis in general.
Yeah.
If we don't, I'd like to see this unanimous decision, and I'm going to say that we want to approve, making a motion to approve the IGA with the revision that is renewable on an annual basis. That's my motion.
Second?
Okay, motion's seconded. Question? All right. Would you like to poll the board, Nancy?
Commissioner Pauly?
Aye.
Commissioner Mum?
Aye.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Commissioner Yates? Commissioner Peterson? Commissioner Edgar?
Yes.
And Chair Shaw.
Yes.
Great. Motion passes 9-0.
Okay, very good. Sorry. About a city manager's report.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Future agenda items, anybody? All right, hearing none. Adjourned.